If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. You got to know what you want. It's that vision. The more clear you get on what you really want, that's when the magic happens. There's a lot of tax advantages. The more taxes I pay, the better I look for the bank. The universe giving me the loan. What business is, it's between our ears, man. I've used to find the right people to help me grow what I want to grow. They're more impactful and powerful stories. Wire myself up in the spiritual aspect for what I want to get. The biggest way I've learned is just keep learning more about me.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of the Lift Your Shop podcast. I'm Kelsey Altram with Lift Auto Repair Marketing, and today we have an amazing guest. We have David Marks from Quality Auto Repair, Tire Auto Sales out in the St. Louis area. So thank you, David, for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here, and I get it. This is excited to learn more about you and what you do, and how you help shop owners as well. I want this to be a two-way street, help both of us, not just put my face on the screen.
Yeah, no, for sure. But definitely, I want people to hear your story. And in terms of like kind of what you're bringing to the table, I'm excited for the different aspects that you have. I know some things may ruffle some feathers in terms of some of the people that are listening to this typically, and how you do something just slightly differently. But I think those are the important stories to hear in terms of like, hey, how someone else is having success in doing something different, and maybe things and pieces you can learn from it, or if you don't want to learn from, that's totally fine too. But I think it's a good opportunity for everyone to be able to hear. So, David, why don't you run us through in terms of how you got started in this industry, kind of a little bit about your story.
So how I got into really in automotive, I got into the late 90s is, I didn't want to go to college out of high school. I did not want to go. I was done with school. I didn't want to do anything else. And I just didn't want like a dead end job flipping burgers, but the traditional 4-year college degree, that wasn't me, and I knew that my mom's second husband had a carpentry business, and I worked for him, and he was extremely mechanically inclined, and I just found that, hey, I had a knack for this, it felt natural and felt, good for me to do. So, there's a tech school here in St. Louis, Rankin Tech. Went to Rankin Tech and, got out and started a career. I've got most of the new car dealerships here in the St. Louis area are union. So I got experience dealing with that, working for the big box store, worked for a mom and pop, worked for an auto value bumper to bumper parts distributor here in St. Louis. So I got a very diversified experience, and worked for CarX for a little bit, and very diversified arena that's really, man, has really helped me with my shop and my business, because I've learned what to do and what not to do, learn more of what not to do than what to do from most of the places that I experience. I tell you this, if somebody wants to start an auto repair shop, one of the best things I did is I worked for a parts store. I worked for, it's Al's Auto Supply. They're an auto value bumper to bumper store. And it's not like the big box stores. It's a real parts store. Understanding that side of this business, man, that has helped me tenfold when it comes to running a shop, because you know parts, who builds what's in what box, where to buy, what to buy, and you know how to play the game with the parts stores. I understand that side of the business. So when I need a part warranted, I know how to play the game and get it done. And it really helps. If somebody wanted to open an auto repair shop, that would be the one thing I tell them is go work for, not the big box stores, but a real parts store. I'm going to name some names, Factory Motor Parts, maybe an auto value bumper to bumper store, the real places. And just learn that side of it, because going from that into my shop, and that's how I got into it, really. It's paid dividends tenfold. I'm amazed how much of that I use running a repair shop, just knowing parts.
I never thought about that as an asset. If maybe if you give someone a shortcut instead of like, hey, working at the parts store, was maybe some of like the key pointers that you took away that are like, yeah, this would be valuable to maybe dig into a little bit on your own.
It's speaking their language. Okay. Everything has its own language. Like auto repair has its own language. Auto parts has its own language. I've learned, just from my business that, the more I speak graphic, the better the better service I get from graphic designers, EPS, vector file, all that kind of stuff. So the big difference is, that's where I learned a lot about what nuts and bolts are. And the big thing, it's kind of knowing who's really in that box.
Mm,
There's a lot of repackaging and reboxing and auto parts, and it's knowing how to take okay, like here's a perfectly good example. One of our loaner cars is a Lexus. Okay, I bought the converter not from Lexus, but I bought a genuine Toyota from Toyota. So it's that kind of stuff. Understanding how to navigate parts catalogs quickly. Especially on Repair Link or OPS Tracks. OPS Tracks is a sister company to OE Connection and owns Repair Link and Collision Link. Knowing how to navigate that and really how to play the game with the parts houses to make sure that, I'm not eating the part,
yeah,
and
definitely.
knowing how to navigate that and knowing, okay, when am I crossing the line with being asking too much of the parts store and when I'm not, and being a dip, you got to be a good diplomat with them, to navigate that so that I don't get they got to eat it, not me. You want my business, you got to eat it. But
Yeah.
it's knowing how to navigate that, and I learned a lot of that from that entity. Understanding how to take a number off Worldpac and find it somewhere else.
Mm, yeah, I think
And
that is very
understanding that,
valuable.
finding, just knowing parts and knowing where to find stuff. Okay, I can take this number and it translates into this number, and I know it's going to fit this vehicle and it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, that I think those are very valuable assets to be able to kind of have in
You
your
know,
tool belt that most people probably don't.
Yeah, car part, knowing how to look up used parts and making sure that, carpart.com, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with it, we can look up used parts on there. So it's knowing, okay, I'm looking at, I don't know, a mirror on this, whatever it is. Is this going to fit exactly what I have? And
Mm,
it's verifying all of that. Yeah. And when you understand that, you get the right stuff the first time. It's the more independent we are from the parts houses on then looking stuff up, we get the right stuff the first time.
yeah, definitely. So then at what point did you decide to yourself like, okay, I want to start it on my own? Like, because you worked at obviously a few different places, you got a really well-rounded background in terms of the different aspects, but I know you're running one on your own now, but when did that start? What kind of made that pivot?
I bought a garage with a house in the front yard. It's how I got started. I got an 800 square foot garage in my backyard. I was selling auto parts at the time, and they knew that I had some mechanical experience, and I was fixing their delivery trucks evenings and weekends, and did that for about a year and a half. Was making good money on the side. They were paying me good money to do it.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, they stopped giving me that work. So this predates Facebook. Is when people used Craigslist. People used to put on Craigslist, my car needs XYZ. Started replying to these ads. Started getting work. And then I got an LLC. Started working every evening, every weekend I could out of my backyard gig, and then just kind of would slowly wean myself off the parts house. I told them I was full transparency what I'm doing. They were cool with it. They were on board with it. It's not like I'm a competitor. I'm not
Yeah.
opening up another parts store.
Ah,
Either way, I'm going to help make you guys money, either
mhm.
selling parts or buying parts from me. So which one do you want? Like, well, we'll take they were on board with it. And it was just kind of a process to wean myself off, my day job. They say don't quit your day job. I think that's true. There came to a point where it was obvious that, hey, I really got something going here, and they were totally cool with it. So, I mean, that's literally how I got started, and then just one thing has led to another. And we can go into all that if you want to, or if not, don't matter to me.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. So it turns out that you started at the garage, and then did
Yeah,
you?
my backyard garage.
Yeah, and then did
Literally,
you?
that's how I got started.
How long were you there for? And then when did you jump into like getting a brick and mortar?
The brick and mortar, it took 9 years for me.
Okay.
About a year that was finding a place.
Yeah.
Because I had a specific municipality or city, in St. Louis counties, it's whacked here. I'm not going to go into that, but we have there's St. Louis County, that within St. Louis County, there's 82 municipalities. That's what we call them. And there was one particular I wanted and I was coveting, because I had demographic data. A big part of my success is I did a business plan here in Missouri that's called the Small Business Development and Technological Center. And I did a business plan with them, and they were able to extract demographic data on auto repair that really validated where I want to go was ideal. I had good household medium income, and this was all free. I didn't pay for any of this.
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of information that's available for us for free if we're willing to be proactive, take initiative, and look for it. There's a ton of useful information that doesn't cost a penny. We just got to be willing to put in the time, and that was one of them. And that really validated the area that I'm in that I want to be in. Another good resource that I used is SCORE, and I'm a huge advocate for SCORE. SCORE stands for Society Corps of Retired Executives. It's a free mentorship program that's affiliated with the SBA, because back in 2016, I wanted to get a loan to move my business out of my backyard because I felt I had something good. And I got told no by four banks. After the fourth no, I'm like, okay, because I didn't know what I was doing. They looked at my financials, they looked at them like they're Egyptian hieroglyphics. I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a clue, and I didn't know what I didn't know. I thought I was doing it right, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I really didn't know. I didn't know my numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And so I got connected with SCORE and met a guy named Gary Deacon. I'm calling his name out because he's a huge influence on my life and what I'm passionate about. Is he owned multiple bus dealerships? Okay, because I also sell cars too. I got my dealer license as well, and he taught me how to be a business owner, not a backyard mechanic. This is what an income statement is. This is what a balance sheet is. This is how to put this together, and this is how you use the two to manage your business. Because I went back to the bank in the summer of 2018, found a place to, I'm leasing right now, to open up my brick and mortar. I took warehouse space and built a shop. Where I'm at did not look like a shop. No, we converted a warehouse into a shop, and I was able to do that because of my help with Gary and him teaching me, you know, how to write a business plan. Okay, this is what, we literally, our business plan was an income statement and a balance sheet, and
Mhm.
it had my break even in there. So when I went back to the bank and I showed them all this stuff, they let me borrow $160,000.
Mm.
And I opened up a brick and mortar, a 3 bay shop brick and mortar by myself. I'm fully staffed. I'm blessed, man, because I got three people everybody in the nation wants. I guarantee it. And yeah, man, it's to me, it's that vision.
Yeah.
I think you got to know what you want. And I've not that I've done it perfectly since day one, but for the most part, I've known what I really, really wanted. I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction and manifestation. If I told you the story how I got the money to get my loan, it's law of attraction 101, dude. I'm a huge believer in that. Because I just am.
Mhm.
The universe will give us what we want. We got to ask for it, and we got to know what we want, and it'll go, okay, boom, here you go. And then what work did you do to deserve that? I'm a
Yeah.
huge believer in all of that because I'm working on manifesting my business, buying property and building a building. I want to go from a 2,700 square foot building to buying 1.5 acres and building a 9,000 square foot building and having an independent dealership. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. It's just taking that law of attraction to another level, and that requires a lot of growth, internal growth on my part.
Absolutely. I love that. I love the internal recognition there. But to dig in a little bit on obviously the financial aspects. So you failed, and like we went to the bank up, they disapproved multiple times, fourth time, and then now finally like the fifth time they approved it. What I guess what were like some did they were there indications of like, hey, this is what's wrong with it, or they would just a straight up, hey, no, this is not good enough, and you get to figure it out on your own. And that's why you found your mentor to kind of help you with that, or
Yeah, yeah,
what?
yeah, exactly. The banks just they looked at those, they looked if I back then they looked at and they'd ask me questions about my balance sheet and my income statement, and I couldn't answer any of their questions.
Mhm.
I had no idea what my expenses were. I thought I was putting stuff in the right place. I wasn't. I was putting on QuickBooks, one of the chart of accounts is supplies and materials. That's where I was putting all my parts. No, that needs to go cost of goods sold parts because there's income parts associated
Yeah.
with that. So,
Uh-huh.
it was just, after I got told the no the fourth time, I need to learn this stuff.
Mhm.
And what does it take to get a yes? And I did what it took to get a yes. It was meeting with Gary once a week, just cleaning up my financials, changing bookkeepers, changing accountants, learning how to navigate that. I want a tax strategist, not just somebody to get my tax liability down to zero as possible. No,
Mm,
the more taxes I pay, the better I look for the bank.
mm.
And what Gary taught me is my financials are for the bank, not the IRS, not me, for the bank. So, how do I make these look good for the bank? So when I want money, they say yes. They'll
I
say,
love
yeah, that's great. You had all this revenue and you got your net income, your tax liability down to next to nothing. And that's not enough net income for us to warrant loaning you money. We can see how you do it, but the underwriters don't approve it like that. They want to see net income, compare and what percentage of that compared to gross sales.
it.
As
Absolutely.
long that's all they care about. What's your top line? What's your bottom line? Because as long as that's right, then in their eyes, everything in between you're doing right.
Perfect. And that was gonna be my next question in terms of it's like at a high level, what were the main indicators of this? So the bank was like, yes, I want to know this number, I want to know this number, and this is kind of the goal in terms of like where it should be to then get approval.
Yeah. So for me at that time when I got mine, when I got mine, the economy was rocking and rolling.
Mm,
It was 2018, and the cash was flowing. I'm just going to go really back to law of attraction, man.
mm,
This is all manifested. I'm a huge believer that I'm a very spiritual person. I work on my spirituality on a daily basis. And to me, it was the universe giving me the loan. The bank didn't fund me the money. The God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, did. It's just that was the medium how I got it. So for me, the universe gave me that loan because I was doing my due diligence. And that due diligence was meeting with Gary and doing exactly what he told me to do. Because the dude owned three bus dealerships, sold it for millions and 60, 50, 60 something $1 million. Very, very successful. So he knew what he was doing. I haven't been anybody smarter when it comes to this type of planning than Gary. Okay. We became really good friends. We still talk to this day. And, I know my next sleep, I'm going to rely on his expertise because dude, he's been there and done that.
yeah.
So the reason I got what I got is because, the law of attraction saw I was doing my due diligence and that was doing exactly what Gary said and not deviating from that. If he told me to jump, I said how high and how many times.
Yeah.
And then I did that.
Yeah. And
That's
it's
how,
so
in
important.
my opinion, that's how I got it.
Yeah. Like having a
That's what I
mentor
believe.
you find and trust and then like listening to them, even if it's like something that's like, well, why? But
No.
obviously it's why for a reason. There's
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
steps.
And I think for me, when it comes to mentorship and finding mentors, it's find people that have had more success in an area that you don't have and that you want, and ask for help and then listen and do what they say and get out of the way. I never question Gary. He tells me to, even to this day, if he says something, I'm a little bit more educated now than I was back then, so I might, well, hey, what do you think about this? Or am I deviating and question for it? But, I take his word. I
Mhm.
mean, somebody that sells a business for 50, $60 million and very, very successful. Well, they know something that I don't. So, I got to keep it because I haven't done that, so I got to keep an open mind and be willing to, ask for help, ask for guidance, but it's got to be with the right people that have more success than what I have. I got another friend of mine that's bought multiple shops and built them from the ground up and sold them that can help me navigate that stuff. So for me, how I've gotten the confidence is having people that have done what I want, what I haven't done, and been successful at it. That's how I get the confidence to do that. Because I don't know, I don't have any experience at buying property and building a building.
Mhm.
So I need to leverage other people's experience so I can get the confidence to keep pushing the needle forward and keep moving forward. That's how I do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So now I want to take a little bit of a pivot in terms of when you took the leap from just being a general auto repair shop to now also including being a dealership. So I know that this might
Yeah,
ruffle feathers with people like, why would you do such a thing? Like we should only be focused on fixing the car, but
yeah.
different ways to do things. So I would love to hear that transition, that story of maybe why you even wanted to take that leap and trying to sell cars.
No, that's good. So I've been doing both since 2013, actually.
Okay.
When I was a few years into my backyard gig, people started asking me, "Hey, Dave, do you sell cars? You know nobody that does?" And what I was doing was completely illegal. Or the city that I live in is against the city code to do what I did in my backyard. So what the car sales did is, man, honestly, I think it kept me afloat because I always had a few clunkers sitting around that if because it was hard to, how do you market an illegal repair shop in a backyard when you know it's against city code? So this is before Facebook was what it was. So I did that by buying and selling cars. I got connected with a guy that had a dealer license. He would charge me X amount per car to use that license. So I would do it as fill-in work between while I was building my repair. And another friend of mine that's a mentor, he just recently sold his business in the city. The reason I'm in the city I'm in is for two reasons. Is one, it's got the household medium income to support auto repair where I can charge a premium and people will pay it. So that allows me to make a good net income and provide good wages and benefits for my employees. And they permit used auto sales in the same spot. And I just think the two go together like peanut butter and jelly. They really do. And I'm shocked when I hear other auto repair guys like, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, I tell you what, I've done a lot this year is when people want to trade their car in, I take it to the dealer only auction. I sell it there. They're going to get more money than trading it in, and I get more than a diag fee in the car going down the road.
Mm.
I've made a few thousand. Dude, I had one this year. We made $3,500 on doing it that way. I've had another one. We made 4 grand on doing it that way, and the people are happy. I've got people left me good Google reviews from doing this. So, I'm when I moved to Maryland Heights, where I'm in, I got my own dealer license, and it's people love buying cars from guys in the repair business. Oh, because I throw Kelly Blue Book out the window. It's David Mark's Blue Book, and I've literally bought stuff from customers from pennies on the dollar, and I've sold stuff to people over Kelly Blue Book retail, and they just pay it because they trust me and they know the first 30 days I'm going to fix it. I'm selling stuff that we want to work on in the shop.
Yep.
I'm not like a high-end European shop, so I don't sell that type of stuff. I sell what we want to work on. I mean, so if somebody presents me with a European, I need to get it at a discount so I can wholesale it. And it's just, dude, it's keeping an open mind. And it's the independent dealership. The dealership business model is they sell you the car, they service it, then they repeat. They keep the customer in their ecosystem, and that's what I'm creating. That's what I'm building. I just got my rental car license. We're going to start doing that. And how many automotive companies can I put together that all feed off each other and that'll work each other? So when somebody comes into my ecosystem, I can keep them as best as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Don't need to
And
go
that's what
anywhere
it's
else
about.
or anything automotive. So
Yeah, because if you're just doing auto, and there's nothing wrong with just being an auto repair shop. I think where a lot of people and some of these Facebook groups I'm in, I'm not going to name them. I just this is just my opinion, my beliefs is they look at what somebody else wants to do through their eyes is right, wrong, good, or bad instead of no, that's what they want to do. Why do you care?
mm. Yep.
And if somebody wants to do like what I'm doing, awesome, cool. There's nothing wrong with it. If you just want to own if you just want to be a one-man band, awesome, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, if you want to own 4 shops, awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just see in some of these face groups, I mean, too many people look at what somebody else wants to do, and they project their beliefs on what they feel they should do instead of supporting what they want to do or keeping in mind, well, hey, how can I do that? Because I've been an advocate for car sales in some of these auto shop groups, and it says explaining stuff like this. I sold 29 cars last year, and I think probably 15 or 16 were that exact way, where they wanted to trade it in. I got from my shop to Mannheim is a 45-minute round trip. Dude, I mean, there was 2 that I sold last week. I made 2 grand on 2 cars, and I didn't really do a whole lot.
Mm.
You don't get that kind of ROI doing auto repair.
Yeah, I think that's fair. There's definitely different ways to do different things, and it's great to learn and hear your story in terms of how.
Yeah, I've had people that
Now we
Gary.
don't want to recommend starting illegal. Like that's definitely not something we're recommending here on this podcast at all. But definitely, there's like if there's a way that I think if you find maybe there's a passion behind what you're doing, and like I actually kind of enjoy selling the car every once in a while. Like
I love it.
why
It's
not try
fun.
and do it? Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but if that's not for you at all, then that's totally fine too. Like just keep in
yeah,
that you're doing and master that avenue and give good value back to other people that are kind of in that same path and doing their thing.
yeah. So part of my model is because it doesn't really cost anything to market cars on Facebook Marketplace,
Mhm.
right? So, well, you're not going to like this because you're a marketing company, but this is a way in my mind to reduce my customer acquisition cost, right?
Mhm.
Because if I sell a car on Marketplace, which don't really cost me anything,
Mhm.
right? And they have a great sales experience, right? And we bring them back into the shop and they have a great service experience, they're going to keep bringing that back, right? Well, now I don't need to spend as much money with Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever. It can be a more economical way to acquire customer. I mean, people are still going to need your services. We can't eliminate you 100%, but that's part of it. I mean, I mean, we still need you, okay? Because I'm not building a website. I don't do that. I'm not going to build a website. I'm not going to manage a website. I'm not going to keep it updated. I don't know Google keywords or SEO keywords or anything like this. What my goal for this year is to eliminate Google Ads 100% and not rely on it. Just rely on Google Organic. And one of my ways I think I can do this is let me scale my sales business, right? And then how do I take those customers and turn them into service customers?
Mhm.
Or if somebody I just had a guy, or how do I take somebody that needs a replacement car? Well, how do I go to the auction and find that 1 or 2 year old car that's not paying MSRP, and supply it for them?
Mhm.
That's what I drive. You know what I drive? I go down there, I buy something that's 1 or 2 years old because I'm not in business to fix my stuff. And then when the factory warranty expires, I sell it and I just
Yeah,
repeat.
well, there you go.
That's how I pay for I mean, I have an older pickup truck that's my daily driver, but like for my wife, no, she's driving something nice, new, that's got a factory warranty in it because I'm not in business to fix my wife's car.
Mhm.
So I go and buy her something 1 or 2 years old with 10,000 miles on it at discount, paying wholesale. And then when the factory warranty expires, I sell it and then I take that and I go repeat because then all I have to do is change oil in it, rotate tires.
Yeah.
That's how I want to do it. And my used auto sales business gives me that avenue to do it because what the cool thing is, so my sales business pays for the cost of the vehicles, the repairs, the maintenance, and the gas and the insurance all before I pay state and federal income tax. There's tax advantages to doing what I'm doing too. There's a lot of tax advantages. Because here in the state of Missouri, licensed dealers, we don't pay sales tax on cars and residents have to pay property tax. Well, we're exempt from those taxes. So it's like my pickup, when I bought 4 tires for my pickup last year, because it's licensed to that entity, I didn't pay sales tax on those tires. The only sales tax I've paid on my pickup that I've had for 6 years is the sales tax the decal company charged me when they put the decals on. That's it. So when you understand the tax code and understand how money works and all this, yeah, that's why I do it. There's tax advantages for it. I pay for the vehicles 100% on pre-tax money and I avoid multiple state taxes at the same time. That's financial literacy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think there's so much in terms of financial literacy that people can continue to evolve and learn, and but also, I mean, find a good trusted advisor of some kind to definitely give you the right ammunition in terms of information, in terms of strategies,
Oh,
and go about
dude,
doing things.
110%. So the best way I found to find the right mentors or the right advisors is you got to make yourself vulnerable. The more vulnerable I allow myself to be, that's how I find the people that can really help me because you got to allow yourself to get your feelings hurt. I'm just gonna, that's how I'm describing it, or that's call it is when allow yourself to get butt hurt to get your feelings hurt. Okay, then you find out who to navigate to because I have a small circle of people that I can find with. I don't need a huge circle. I got a small circle. It's quality over quantity when it comes to mentors. And I got some people that I talk to that, aren't in automotive necessarily, but they're just very, very successful. I got a couple that are multimillionaires and I
Mhm.
love talking to them and they're
Yeah.
more than happy to, they can look at what I'm doing from a 360 point of view, like Dave, I don't know auto repair and this and in the weeds, but from an overarching 360 view, they can help me make decisions or they
Yep.
can ask questions or they may think of something that somebody else might not say. So that's what I've used to find the right people to, help me, grow what I want to grow.
For sure. I think at the end of the day, one thing that can't be like fabricated are like the numbers per se. Like the numbers, regardless of the business, you can look at a P&L and be like, okay, this is a healthy business, this is a successful business, and you give tips in terms of like how you can at a high level view that. Whereas like obviously there's certain aspects within an auto repair shop that you're just like, yeah, like that doesn't correlate to a software business and then
Yeah.
the margins that they deal with. But in terms of just holistically running it and seeing it as a successful business per se is like it's just definitely there's similarities there. So yeah, the mentor just does. I think it helps when they are in a similar industry because they will probably have very
Oh,
similar
absolutely.
experiences, but it obviously like doesn't hurt in the slightest to have people that like are in doing other things and then like, again success can definitely roll over to you regardless of how they're experiencing this success. There could be just one aspect that they're like, oh yeah, I dealt with this thing. You're like, holy moly, that's exactly like guess that's like almost exactly like as I'm dealing with a guess a different industry, but you made what adjustment and then they share that and then like oh okay I can make that too and then boom you're now like on going in the right path of success as well. So just surrounding yourself with people like that I think are
Yeah, I got a friend of mine that's a CFO. He works for 9 and 10 figure businesses, so he works with companies that do in, a couple weeks what I do in a month, what I do in a year and stuff like that. So yeah, most business, when you get down to the core, I was taught by a guy at SCORE that all businesses are the same at their core, David. They got their unique things, but most of it, business is business. And what I've learned is for me, what business is, it's between our ears, man.
yep
What do we tell it? What stories do we tell ourselves on a daily basis? And as I rewrite my stories that I tell myself, and they're more impactful and powerful stories, my business is going to grow, and I'm still navigating that. I'm still learning that, I'm still, working that on an everyday basis. But man, the more clear you get on what you really want, that's when the magic happens. That's when things fall into place because you know where you're going and you're going to take the correct actions. You're going to feel the right feelings, think the right thoughts, take the right actions that are going to lead to the results that you want. And that's what I've done, and that's what I continue to work on. Live in that the more uncomfortable I feel, that means I'm growing.
yeah
Cool. This is what I'm supposed to do. When we're comfortable, it's like, okay, we're kind of coasting,
Mhm.
which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not about right, wrong, but it's like, okay, how far can I push my uncomfortability till it's like, no, okay, this is just too much. Let me back off a little bit. But
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I have loved everything that we have talked about so far today. One last thing I would love to dig on is in terms of like your in your journey, what would you say is the biggest thing that you've learned to at least to this point in terms of being an auto repair shop owner slash
yeah,
dealership
I
owner?
consider myself an entrepreneur. And to me, it's really, man, what I just dive into those. Okay, when something feels uncomfortable, okay, or I get mad, or I get frustrated, or I get angry. How, what past programming is causing that?
Mhm.
Like, what's like? Okay, there's a surface level issues, then there's conscious issues and subconscious issues. Okay, if I get upset, why am I getting upset? What's the reason behind that? There's usually an underlying reason. So I just work on diving into that as much as possible. And I found that how my parents programmed me, because I'm a big believer in all of this stuff. I mean, you can, if you disagree with me, awesome, we can still be friends. But it's just keep diving, keep figuring out, how my parents, my upbringing programmed me to run on my autopilot system, and how do I rewire that so I can achieve what I want to achieve. I believe in all this stuff, man. Everything's all spiritual, and the more I can wire myself up in the spiritual aspect for what I want to get, that's really the biggest way I've learned is just keep learning more about me. The
Yeah.
more I learn about me, then I can project then I can, okay, how do I transform myself into how I need to show up to do what I want to do to have the success that I want to success that I want to have.
Oh, I love that. Well, David, for those that maybe want to dig in deeper with you and say, hey, actually, there's some very similarities between our business and I'm kind of stuck right now, how would they potentially reach out to you to kind
I
of
mean, dude, I'm all over social media. You can, I don't mind giving my personal cell phone out and my email out. I'm an open book, man. I really am. I don't have really any like guilt or shame about my past. I've been through a lot. I've had to overcome a lot. That could be a whole nother episode. In the more that I allow myself to be, allow myself to be vulnerable, man, things happen and life gets really good, instead of keeping everything in. And it's paying it forward. I look at what the mentors have done with me, like my friend Gary, he's poured hours and hours and hours into me. So, I'm in a spot where I can really start to do that with the right people. So, if you want to, we can drop my cell phone number into this link. I have no issues getting that. I can pass on my email. I'm on all the social media platforms, so somebody can message me. But yeah, man, I love to. If anybody that's listening or watching is like, yeah, that really resonates with me, and wants to have a conversation, or we can hop on a Zoom, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Awesome. Well, I love that. Well, David, again, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Kelsey with Lift Out of Her Marketing. Thank you all for being here. Subscribe or like if you haven't yet on YouTube. But thanks again. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Cool. Thanks.